Hi, this is Hansa,
And this is Terry.
and you're listening to the Omdia Digital Leaders Podcast. Welcome to today's podcast. We are very excited to tell you that today we have a very special guest with us. We have Leah Yomtovian, who is the Vice President for Corporate Strategy and M&A Integration at Oracle. Leah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Hansa. Thank you so much, Terry. I'm excited to be here.
So, Leah, could you quickly tell our listeners a little bit about what you do at Oracle?
Sure. Well, you mentioned corporate strategy, you mentioned M&A integration. Maybe I'll actually start with how I got to Oracle and how my role has transformed. About 8 years ago, Oracle acquired a company called TOA Technologies. And at the time, I was brought in to help lead that integration. That was, with the beginnings of our transformation from a product-oriented company to a cloud company to a service-oriented company. And at the time, I was asked to help lead this integration. I had a playbook, which was really great for when Oracle was acquiring on-premises companies and looking to integrate them into Oracle as an on-premises business. But as we were a cloud-based company, the playbook didn't work. So I started talking to various folks at Oracle, including the leadership team, about how we might transform our integration strategy, because really the engagement model with a service-oriented business and the entire operational model that we have is very different. And so we had to transform the integration strategy as well as how we engage with our customers end to end, how we engage with our employees and our partners, and how we operate as a business. And through that work, we also determined it's not just enough to transform the integration strategy, but we really got to transform everything. So my role has expanded to focus, yes, still on M&A integration, but more broadly on the customer experience, the employee experience, and the partner experience that we deliver. And we also handle strategic communications as well. Really important that folks are not only aware of what we're doing, but enabled and empowered to succeed.
That is exciting. And I have studied the transformation of Oracle, and I saw this intense focus on customers, on listening to people, both within and outside the organization, and building that into your strategy. But then Terry wants to play devil's advocate around customer experience. And Terry, can you make your point?
Yeah, before I make my point, let me just say to the listeners that Leah uses her hands a lot, and she's most emphatic when she's talking about customers. So I'm seeing evidence of customer passion, if you will. And let's define our terms then. What is customer experience? And it's been called many things. It's customer satisfaction, customer centricity, customer obsession. I hate that term because it's a bit too obsessive. So is it the same as all of those other terms, or is it different? And how does Oracle define customer experience?
So for us, the customer experience is really the combination of the solution that a customer needs to solve their business challenges, to achieve their goals. It also encompasses the journey that you go on from the point of identifying the right solution through selecting, adopting, realizing value, and achieving success. Really critically, it also involves the people who help you achieve those goals. It could be Oracle employees, it could be our partners, whoever is helping you. And when you talk about some of these other customer terms like customer satisfaction should be the outcome of an exceptional customer experience. A customer first mindset should be how you approach the customer experience. That's how I would differentiate them.
That's an excellent distinction that you make there. And so when we talk about that, and when we talk about how, when you introduce yourself saying that when you came in, the playbook that Oracle had didn't work, was the change, was this focus around customer experience, was it organically something that Oracle came up with? Was it really deliberate, or what kicked it off other than that specific M&A integration? Were there other forces at play?
Oh, definitely. This started with Larry and our leadership team much before my time, as we were moving from that product-oriented company to a service-oriented company. But what really happened was that we understood it's not just a transformation of the technology that you're delivering. It's really the transformation of that journey, of how you enable and empower your employees and how you enable and empower your partners. So Oracle, we've always been focused on our customer, but in the on-premise world where a customer would select the right product and then they would take it in-house, they would integrate it and implement it however they needed to. Our engagement kind of ended with the customers at that point. Maybe they would call us if they had an issue, and then we had to see, is it a problem with your setup or with the product? But there was really this kind of period where we didn't necessarily talk to the customer. In the cloud, where we're running our customer services, where they're literally handing us the keys to their business and saying, take my data, take my operations, take my future, basically, and help me achieve my goals, be my partner on my journey. We have to be there every step of the way. And the other thing in the cloud that's different is our technology, it's constantly evolving. So every 90 days, we have quarterly updates that are coming out, new features and new functionality. We have to engage with our customers on an ongoing basis to make sure that they understand how to leverage those, new features, the new functionality to stay ahead and continue to improve and innovate their own operations.
So I'm hearing customer experience is customer might be one side of the coin, and I hate putting two sides to the issue, but it's a holistic thing. It's the entire organization. It's your culture. It's the technologies that you use to support your customers. I'm hearing it's a whole package that you're putting together. Yeah.
That's exactly right. We focus on people. So, what's the culture? What's our organization? What are our metrics? We focus on process and policies, and then we do focus on our own internal systems. And by the way, we do use our own Oracle technology internally. That's been a huge benefit to us as we've moved our entire business over to Oracle Cloud. It's enabled us to deliver a better experience to our employees and ultimately to our customers because we're able to move faster, make faster decisions, take better actions. We're able to improve employee productivity because we're spending less time on administrative tasks and more time on the value add activities. We ourselves leverage those quarterly updates so that we can stay ahead. And then of course, it enables us also to improve on a regular basis because we have that opportunity every 90 days to look at feedback we get from customers, employees, or partners, and we can improve the experience for our employees, but also for any of those other constituents, and take those learnings and apply them to the rest of our customer base as well.
So if you're using your own technologies and your own methods and your own outputs, that makes you essentially an Oracle friendly customer all of your own. So you can road test a lot of your ideas on yourselves before you roll them out to your customers. Is that about
That's
right?
exactly what we do. We aim to be one of the first customers, and wow, we provide a lot of feedback. Our line of business leaders, our employees, I can give you one example actually where we learned quite a bit. It was when we were moving from our on-premises to cloud for expenses. And at the time, we didn't have this transformation methodology figured out quite yet. We kind of did a lift and shift, and some of the folks in our back office saw new features and functionality available in the cloud, and they said, wow, wouldn't it be great, as an example, if we had our employees itemize their hotel bills? So our employees can actually tell us, how much money did you spend on lodging versus food versus taxes? That would make us so much more efficient in the back office. Problem was that when you have hundreds of thousands of employees who are now having to itemize hotel bills, they're spending their time on this administrative task versus on their value add, I'm developing products or I'm selling or I'm helping customers achieve success. It made no sense. Our employees complained. I mean, they were very vocal about it. So we went back and we said, what did we do wrong here? First thing we did wrong was we didn't focus on who are we actually serving. We serve our employees, and our employees are looking to get paid back for expenses that they spent on behalf of Oracle. They want to get paid back as quickly as possible. So we looked at how could we first streamline the entire process and make it as simple as possible for our employees. Forget how we did things in the past. What's the simplest journey we can take them on? And then how do we empower them to get through that journey without any kind of manual intervention? How do we delight them all along the way? And then let's look at the automation. And what we were able to do was actually leverage one of those quarterly updates. And we actually use chatbot technology where our employees can now, you're sitting at the hotel, you're having a meal, take a photo of your receipt, text it into us. It's pretty much done. We might have to ask you a couple of questions if the receipt is all crinkly or whatnot, but generally speaking, you're done in about 30 seconds. Much different, much better experience for the user. And it's also more efficient for our back office.
That is very interesting. And I got to see a demo of the new expense system at Open World a couple of years ago when it was still a live in-person event. God, I miss those. So, so Leah, tell me a little bit about the process of collecting feedback. How do you do it, and how frequently do you do this, and how do you make sense? Obviously, there are like hundreds of thousands of employees and customers and partners you're collecting information from. So how do you make sense of all of that, and how do you close the feedback loop? How fast does it work?
So that's a great question. On the employee side, we have an annual survey that we do to get feedback. Generally, I don't love surveys because it doesn't give me the actionable insights I need, but it does tell me directionally, do I know what the main challenges are? The other thing we do, as soon as that survey is over, I'm looking at it by function and line of business. I'm looking at it by region and country. I'm looking at it by topic, and we're calling down on employees. It's an anonymous survey, but I can go and I can see which teams do I need to call on to help us better understand what were the challenges there. We find a lot of, kind of the tip of the iceberg in those surveys. So we'll spend a lot of time talking to our employees, asking them to show us what's the experience really like. And then we have to make sense of it because sometimes they're asking for a faster horse. They don't think to ask for, a car. For our customers, we do the same thing. We have a lot of different surveys that we leverage, but the most important thing is getting on the call with the customer, having the conversation with them. And the other thing I'll just say is it's not just about being reactive and looking for the feedback and then, following up with them. As we're transforming any area, whether it's for the employees or the customers or our partners, we proactively will go to our customers. And I specifically ask for those who are what we call advocates, detractors, or passive folks. Large businesses, small businesses, all across the world. I want to get the various perspectives and I want to test out the new experience that we're thinking to implement because we might be introducing new challenges that we didn't think of. So we've got to go to folks in advance of rolling something out. Lesson learned from expenses. We made that mistake already once. I'm not making it again. Let's get the feedback in advance to make sure when we do roll something out, it's as good as it can be for the moment. And then let's leverage those quarterly updates and the continuous feedback to improve on an ongoing basis.
So your learning from the employee expense issue was, call it employees first. Design the system for the employees, not for the managers and administrators who always make a mess of designing a system.
Right. Exactly. You've got to think about who do you serve? Who is this meant for?
Okay, so that brings me to the customer first mentality, which is I have a mindset of what a customer first means. Can you give me what Oracle thinks about when they think about customer first?
Yeah, so it's really about understanding each of our customers. Obviously, there's a general desire for organizations to want to leapfrog their competition or for them to have a positive impact. There are general things that you can say about what organizations are trying to achieve, but you've really got to be focused on the individual customer. What are their specific challenges? What are they trying to achieve? Each of them is within their own industry that has their own its own specific nuances. So customer first starts with this kind of personalized attention where we have to understand our customers' needs and anticipate them and help them select the right solution that's going to help them achieve their goals. And then we look at how can we actually be somewhat predictive working with our customers. We run the technology for our customers. We know when they're going to run into an issue before they even know about it. So let's preemptively resolve it. And we know what features and functionality is coming out. We have been working with customers for 40 plus years across industries. We have insights that we can provide to our customers to help them achieve their goals and future-proof their business. So let's do that with them. And then let's be really purposeful. Let's make sure that we execute really thoughtfully, bring the best of Oracle, really one Oracle, and let's try to execute flawlessly for our customers across their end-to-end journey so that they'll be really delighted.
You talk about one Oracle. It sounds like customer experience needs to become a cultural thing rather than a list of processes and policies and technologies. So it needs to be a culture. Am I right in that?
That's exactly right. It starts at the top. Larry led this, and Mark, when he was alive with Safra, they led it from the top. They were pushing us, telling us we have got to be easier to do business with. Larry actually, he was the one who had the vision for the buying experience, and he said it's got to be as easy to purchase from Oracle as it is to purchase from your smart device, music or whatever else it might be. So he really led the charge. Safra sponsors a lot of our transformation initiatives, sits in on the weekly calls, and then it has to cascade all the way down from our leadership. Every single employee has some impact on the customer experience. Even if you're in HR or in the back office, you have an impact because, again, it's those four elements of the actual technology, the solutions we deliver, it's the journey we take our customers on, and it's the employees and the partners who are there every day guiding our customers. So we've all got to be in it together and understand what are we trying to achieve for our customers.
So essentially, it's what you're saying is that this cultural change, this change in mindset to focus on what the user wants, it has to be driven from the top. Number one. So now my question is that you have so many users, different profiles, different types of people using your products for different things. So how do you make sense of that? Isn't that like a massive undertaking? How did you wrap your heads around all that? Because any large organization, that's where they struggle with. It's easier for them to buy a solution, slap it on, and say that, hey, you know what, I've got customer experience done. But when you talk about giving individual attention to each persona that you are delivering services and solutions to, how do you build that, and how do you get everyone in the organization involved? Like you said, it went from the top all the way to every single employee, even in the back office. And there are generally people who are aversive to change. There are people who are they just don't care about it. But how do you make sure that culture permeates throughout every single individual in the organization?
So I think you have two different questions in there. So I'll start with how do we deliver an exceptional experience across all the different types of customers? And the answer
Mm-hmm.
for us was start with a really high baseline. So the broad base of customers, whether you're the smallest mom and pop pizza shop down the street, you get an exceptional experience from Oracle. Then we might do something different for maybe our top customers. So that's where we started, and I can take you through the customer journey. But generally, what we try to leverage is automation, meaning let's create a guided journey from the point before we even know that you're interested in looking at Oracle. You're on our website, you're doing your research. We can guide you and give you the information that's relevant to you so that you can select. And then we can develop an automated journey for you to purchase from us. And once you purchased, we can guide you through activation and onboarding all the way through ongoing success. And we're working on that now. We actually, once you become a customer of ours, we're automating recommendations that you can see around cost savings or security or whatnot. And then we supplement it with experts who you might need along the way. So you might need to talk to an expert in, a specific industry or whatnot when you're selecting. Or you might need to speak to an expert, who can provide you implementation guidance. So we also provide easy access to some of our experts. And then for our top customers, there are things that we add on to the customer experience. Those tend to be our biggest customers. So they're going to be very complicated, both in their own setups and how they operate, as well as in terms of what they're purchasing from Oracle. So we'll augment it. And then in terms of the culture and how do we get everybody aligned, I think that was the second question.
Yeah.
We first start with what's our North Star. And this, again, it starts with our leadership talking about it, but it's making sure everyone understands it. So we will communicate and communicate. This is where strategic communications come in. Customer success is our North Star. What does that mean? How do we start to measure it? We've got to align all of our employees around it and make it very visible to them and celebrate the success when we are driving customer success. And when we have a learning like we did with expenses, we'll talk about it and we'll say, here's what we learned from it. And here's now how we can use that to help us drive customer success in the future. So it's a lot of communication, but it is also focusing on on the KPIs, the metrics as well.
So it seems to me, and I was going to ask the question around customer journey mapping. It seems to me that you're doing. It's my big thing. I think unless you, in fact, I've written an article about the IT department user journey mapping, which I don't think any IT department's ever done. But I put together some examples of what a user might be, depending, guess what, whether they're an executive, a power user, or whatever. It seems to me that you've done your journey mapping and you understand the, call it, generic layered customer journeys. Yes.
That's right. You have to understand the persona.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a different persona at the customer who is doing the research and maybe even doing the buying and then activating the services, et cetera, et cetera. So when we talk about this guided journey, this automated guided journey, we do look at it by persona, and we have to personalize. Again, it gets back to being personalized and predictive and purposeful for each of those specific personas. And when we go get feedback, we have to make sure that we're getting the feedback from the right persona at the right milestone and applying the learnings to that specific area. But then it's also got to connect end to end, because ultimately for our customers, they're all connected from end to end. Their goals roll up to, the organizational goal. So it also has to connect end to end, even as you look at each persona individually.
So does that mean that you need to put your customer strategy before yourself? Do you need to put your, like you said, it's customer success. You need to put that first. So how does that fit into your organizational strategy? Because that is something where a lot of businesses, struggle with, saying that how do I put the needs of my customer first, but at the same time, make sure that the needs of the organization are met as well. So how do you do that?
Well, for us, the way that Safra has said it is customer success is our North Star. All of our behaviors, our mindset, our actions, all of our metrics, we measure our own success based on our customer success. So I would say our customers drive our strategy, from the solutions that we offer to how we operate as a business. How do we engage again with all of our key constituents? How do we enable and empower them? It's all driven by this focus on our customers.
I do wish a lot more companies would think that way.
I was just going to say, we do try to share our learnings, whether it's how we've transformed or how we leverage our cloud solutions internally or how we approach our customers. We do try to share it out as much as we can with our customers, because we know it's not just Oracle who's going through this transformation from a product-oriented company to a service-oriented company. Every organization across every industry all over the world, they're going through the same thing.
Very true.
So we try really hard to share the lessons that we've learned and the benefits we've achieved with folks so they can achieve the same benefits.
So what are the top, 3 or 4 lessons that you would like our listeners to take home?
First thing is, I would say it really does start at the top. Without having that executive buy-in, it's going to be really challenging. And you had actually asked about what are some of the challenges as you transform. People really, Safra also says it so well when she says people love the idea of change, but when it comes time to change, all of a sudden they don't love it as much. And it's because I think they've been so successful. We've had folks at Oracle who have been so successful building up some part of the business for 5, 10, 20 plus years. Now to have to reimagine it, it's really challenging. Plus, I have my priorities that I have to handle today, and you're asking me to rethink things. I don't know if I have time for that. How do I handle the priorities? So it's really got to start at the top. And the other thing is, you've really ruthlessly got to focus on the user. I know you said that, Terry, you hate the term being customer obsessed. We try to use the term ruthlessly focus on the user and on simplification, but it's because that's what you have to do. Otherwise, what you find is that folks want to kind of band-aid a solution on top. And we say, wait a minute, forget how you did things, forget everything about what we knew. Let's start with a blank piece of paper, go to a blank whiteboard. Who are we serving? Let's put that, front and center on the top of our piece of paper. And now let's design the journey for them in the simplest possible way. And again, think about, how do you make it simple? How do you empower them? How do you delight them? And then how do you automate? So ruthless. That's the other thing that you've got to be. And you've got to keep that focus. A lot of folks, they'll think about the customer for maybe a moment in time, or when it's convenient kind of a thing. You cannot take your eye off it, because the expectations, whether it's your customers, your employees, their partners, constantly evolving, and the world around us is changing. Who would have predicted this pandemic? But as a result of it, everything had to shift for how we engage with our customers, our employees, and our partners. If we didn't have our eye on the ball, we would have been left behind.
Absolutely. I think that that's a critical point that you make there, is that not to take the eye off the ball and not to treat customer focus or customer satisfaction as a one-off thing that you do and then you forget about it. It's an ongoing exercise. It's something that should dictate, how you live and breathe the business, and how you engage with your customers. And the other thing you mentioned was that, you mentioned your partners and you mentioned your ecosystem. How do you translate that across that spectrum of other outsiders that you work with, who may not be having the same kind of focus as you, but who are critical in how your customer experiences success with Oracle? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's such an important question, because our customers, they really trust our partners just like they trust us
Right.
with the keys to their business and with their success. So we spend a lot of time, first of all, aligning with our partners. Same thing with that we do with our employees. We want to be aligned on the key metrics, aligned on customer success. So we spend a lot of time there. But we have to provide our partners with the expertise they need so that they can deliver success. We have to make it easy for them to develop the solutions, really the customer focus. There are very specific solutions and differentiated services that our partners can bring to help our customers achieve their goals. We got to make it easy for them to do that. So we do look at the partner experience and their journey as well. And then we also look at how do we help them drive success across migrations or implementations or whatnot? Where can we be helpful to them to guide them? Where we see as an example that they might be asking a bunch of questions in a specific area, we can say, well, do we need to go back and update the training? Is there something that we can learn here so that we can improve the experience that we're delivering to you, or maybe add on to it or whatnot? So how can we basically continue to help enable and empower you, leveraging what we're seeing as outcomes that you're driving with customers and the feedback that you provide us as well?
I think you're describing to me the difference between an inside out company and an outside in company. Inside out being what products and services have we got and who's going to buy them, versus an outside in company, which says, what is the definition of our customers' success and how can we make that happen for them? I think that's what you're describing in a nutshell, yes?
Yes, that's exactly right. What do they need to be successful? What we understand the challenges generally. So now how can we deliver them the solutions that they need and the best experience that they need in order to achieve their goals? And when I say achieve their goals, it's on an ongoing basis. It's that continuous engagement model with our customers, our partners, and our employees too.
And what if you get some really, really, really bad feedback? Something you never expected. So how do you take that feedback and turn it into something constructive? Because a lot of times it happens that intentions are good, and businesses go and implement something, but then the feedback they receive is horrible, so they just shut it down.
There is no bad feedback. Whatever critical feedback there is, there's an element of truth, at least an element of truth, if not full truth to it. Like I said, it's the tip of the iceberg. We heard from our customers early on when we were transforming from that kind of product oriented business over to the service oriented business. You guys are hard to do business with, or you need to make it easier to support us. And we had to really understand, what are they saying to us? What's happening here? And it's really the whole engagement model has shifted. In the past, when you were buying technology from us that costs millions and millions of dollars a year, and you're going to implement it and it's going to stay there for 5, maybe 10 years. The relationship, the engagement in doing business with us, very, very different than when we're engaging on an ongoing basis and we're delivering you a service. And now we understand you actually want to move a lot faster when you're purchasing. We've got to change that. When it comes to support, we're running the services for you. Why should you even have to pick up the phone and call us to tell us that you have an issue? We should know about it before you do. So we should be resolving it. And if you are calling us, we should be able to get you to the right expert right away and fix the issue. And then, oh, by the way, did you know that you could be doing X or Y or Z? We can actually turn a phone call that's maybe focused on a question or a challenge and turn it into an opportunity to help you continue to see what features or what things could you be thinking about to, again, realize more value or achieve your goals.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Leah. It kind of shows how Oracle has taken the whole customer success and being responsible for that customer success to heart, and how that has transformed the organization. And there's so much that our listeners can learn from that experience and from your own transformation. I know you love to tell the Oracle at Oracle story, like you guys call it, and that's we really loved having that conversation, and we look forward to having you again on the show sometime soon. To the listeners, you can reach Terry or me at askananalyst@omdia.com. That's askananalyst@omdia.com. This is the Omdia Digital Leaders Podcast. Until next time, stay safe.